Coming up on this episode of the Prompt First, Ask Later podcast.
So I question the listeners. If you don't have basic security principles inside of your organization, you don't have a fighting chance to identify whether shadow AI exists. And asking your staff in staff meetings to raise hands and honestly tell you when they have no guidance and no leadership is not the right way to understand whether that's really happening.
Hey, it's the AI guys from Spedge, back with you again with another episode of the Prompt First, Ask Later podcast. Appreciate you being along with us. And of course, as always, I'm Ken Peel, along with Sagar Pandya, who is the CEO and founder, one of the founders of Spedge.ai. What's up, man? How you doing?
So good, man. It's always a pleasure to be on this platform talking about our favorite topic.
Yeah.
And just sharing with the world and seeing people's reactions on some of the content that we put out there, man. It's been great.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing pretty good. So I want to bring this up real quick before we get started and talking about AI, because, you and I talk about this, and this is what we do. We talk about AI. And I was talking with my wife yesterday. Her mom, who's in her 80s, was at a wedding and happened to sit at a table with another group of ladies that are probably in their 70s and 80s. And she said that the topic of AI was brought up at this table of these ladies, 75 to 80 years old, and they were talking about AI. My mother-in-law was going to bring up the fact that I'm in the business, but then once the conversation changed and they were talking about the negatives of AI and how they didn't like it and all these different things, she didn't speak up. But I just found it was interesting that this group of ladies that were like 75, 80 years old were talking about AI at a wedding. How often does that happen? But I thought to myself, education again. This last episode that you and I were on, we talked about the importance of educating employees about AI and getting over the fear factor of that. But I think general public too really needs to be educated on what AI is, what it's not, and what the benefits are of it and how we can use it to our advantage as opposed to being fearful of it and trying to stay away from it and hoping that it goes away. So I just found that was very, very interesting about this group of ladies and how they were talking about AI.
Not surprised, Ken, because this is a topic of conversation that everybody seems to be having these days, regardless of the type of work you do, what type of upbringing, how old or young you are. It's everywhere. And it's exciting to hear that there's dialogue, and not surprised about some of the not so great things about AI, because in reality, there probably are some that need to be discussed, but it's great that they're talking about it. For sure.
Yeah, it's our culture now. It's here to stay, I think, and we just need to educate people about it. And so I wanted to talk today a little bit about a topic that you brought up that I had never heard of before. And we're talking specifically about the shadow AI. And I want to talk a little bit about that because it's so important. So if you were to walk into a boardroom or you're to walk into a company, and you've done this recently, and you ask people who's used AI before and have a show of hands. But then if they were to know that their boss knew that they were using AI in their office, their response might be a little bit more hesitant or different than if they didn't know their boss was listening. And so why is that?
Most people secretly use AI inside of their organizations because their leadership has failed them and hasn't given them direction, hasn't given them the tools, and hasn't created guardrails for safe AI usage. They stick their head in the sand. They hope that AI is a fad and that it's going to go away. And because of that, employees take matters into their own hands. They use the tools with personal email accounts. They're experimenting because people have FOMO. They want to learn, they want to grow.
Right.
And we just talk. AI is a topic of conversation at every dinner table these days. So when we're leading companies and not giving our teams the option to experiment and the resources to do so, Ken, what do you expect is going to happen? There's going to be AI usage that leadership is just unaware of.
Well, that's the way I got involved with it. Is I heard people talking about it and I thought, well, what is this thing? And so I started exploring and I started talking about it and I started using it for mundane things and just trying it out. But there was no governance. There was no plan in place. There was no specific guardrails put up of why you should not use it in certain circumstances, different things like that. And so I think that it's important that we talk about these things so that people that are in the C-suite, if you will, if they are the CEO or the VPs or whatever, that they have a game plan to really encourage their employees to use it, but with restrictions, and also how to use it the proper way. So that's why I want us to talk about shadow AI a little bit. So define for me and for everybody else what that means. What's shadow AI?
Shadow AI is the use of AI tools outside of the four walls of the organization, usually with personal email addresses as the username, and no corporate security or governance on the usage of those tools. Yet company data, corporate data is uploaded in clear text to these systems where the organizations, the companies where these employees work, have zero control and full of blind spots. It's a
Okay.
huge problem right now. And the reason for that, Ken, is these AI labs, these frontier companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, they make it extremely easy to use their AI tools. They're extremely cheap, $20, $30, $100 a month to use the tool. They've made it so easy to upload data or connect email inboxes that the inevitable has happened, which is people have access to tools at free will. They're not getting guidance and leadership from their employers or the organizations that they work at. So they take matters into their own hands and they're starting to experiment. So shadow AI is the blind spot of tools that are in every single organization on earth that has no visibility into the leadership team.
So what's the danger in that? If you don't have a plan, if you don't have something to put up guardrails, things like that, what are some of the dangers?
I'm going to put on my cybersecurity hat for a second because I used to yell
Okay.
about this stuff before we did SPED, and now I yell about AI stuff. But this is where they both converge. So it's really exciting and fun for me to talk about this stuff, but it's rooted in reality. So the first issue with having to deal with shadow AI is that the organization, you business leaders, your companies, you have blind spots. You have no visibility into what data is being shared.
Yeah.
You have no control over whether these AI companies are using your corporate data to train their models and improve their product for other users. So that's number one, no control, no visibility. Number two is you don't have good guardrails and safety. So, how do you know whether your employees that are using disapproved or unapproved AI tools for work product? What if they're copying and pasting outputs into emails or making
Hmm.
decisions on something technical like a financial report or worse, healthcare or something that has a major consequence? So you have no control over the output. You have no control, and I am not an attorney, so please check with attorneys in your state to verify this. But I've heard, Ken, that when you use AI tools, your chat history can be subpoenaed and it can be
Hmm.
used in court because it does not fall under attorney-client privilege. So if you're
Wow.
doing something that is confidential or something related to a legal matter and someone's using a personal chat GPT account, if that legal precedent gets to a point where you have to produce records, guess who's going to have to produce records with no protection? It's these personal AI accounts. So that's just high level, let alone the fact that you're siphoning data off company servers into a tool which you cannot govern.
Yeah.
You are violating certain regulatory compliance frameworks. If you're a healthcare organization and your staff is using personal AI accounts to upload patient information, those are fines that the organization is going to have to carry and pay for. So there's a multitude of things right now. And the fact that AI is so easy to use and very accessible and a low price point is the reason why shadow AI exists in the first place. So let's just agree it's already here and
Yeah.
there's ways to manage it. But I think the first thing that has to happen is you have to vulnerably, I'm talking to you business leaders, CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs that think you're immune from this stuff. You're not. You got to raise your hand, leave your ego at the door. See that door back there? It's open. Leave your ego right there and raise your hand and say, listen, yes, we have shadow AI. We need to do something about it. Make that commitment. When that happens, Ken, then you can make change. If not, shadow AI is going to continue to grow and eventually it will come and bite you in the rear.
Yeah. So why don't CEOs see it? Why don't they see it on their own? What are some of the reasons why they don't see it?
Coming off of 15 years in cybersecurity and managing threat incidents and threat actors and just auditing security for organizations of all sizes, Ken, nobody has their shit together from a security perspective.
Yeah.
And part of the work we do at Spedge is three things. First, we want to understand your data, where it's stored. Secondly,
Right.
is the cultural alignment of your people. Are you ready for AI and change? Thirdly is, do you have basic cybersecurity inside of the organization? Are you using two-factor authentication across accounts? Are you making sure people don't have admin rights when they shouldn't? Are you making sure people use different passwords? Are you tracking for malicious websites and malware and ransomware? Most organizations have not a single clue. I'm just generalizing. I'm not saying every organization. I'm saying most organizations. They don't have good security practices. They don't have basic security hygiene. How in the heck are they going to identify shadow AI usage if they themselves don't have basic security principles
Sure.
installed in the organization? And it's not all technical controls. There's policy and procedural controls as well. So lots of organizations we talk to, they don't have an acceptable AI use policy that simply is a one-page document that says, we as XYZ Incorporated do not allow the use of these tools because they are not approved by IT or they haven't gone through a security vetting process. So I question the listeners. If you don't have basic security principles inside of your organization, you don't have a fighting chance to identify whether shadow AI exists. And asking your staff in staff meetings to raise hands and honestly tell you when they have no guidance and no leadership is not the right way to understand whether that's really happening. So I'm not surprised. The security sophistication in most organizations just does not exist for them to identify shadow AI at all.
All right. So let me break this down a little bit for those that are listening to this and they're going, well, do we have a problem in our organization or not? So let me give you some scenarios, kind of a rapid fire scenario, and you tell me whether you think that this is shadow AI or if it's sanctioned or if it's okay. So let's talk about pasting a customer email into Claude to summarize. Would that be shadow?
Shadow AI. Shadow AI.
What about using like GitHub Copilot through the company's enterprise license? Where is that?
Sanctioned. Sanctioned as long as you're logging in with your company Microsoft account and it has been approved by IT. Sanctioned for sure.
All right. How about an employee using Grammarly's free tier on a draft contract? Where does that fall?
That's shadow AI, man. Number one use case of shadow AI is Grammarly, the free version, because it reads all your text and sends it to a large language model, and it then gives you guidance on grammar and punctuation. So absolutely the biggest violator of shadow AI, in my opinion, is Grammarly.
All right. So there's another one that we've talked about in other episodes, and that's these note taker bots that quietly join your board meeting call, so to speak. Where does that fall?
The second biggest violator of shadow AI. And it's really interesting. There's Roxy back there. It's really interesting. Sometimes we're in meetings with humans and there's more bots than humans. What are we doing, people? Like, what are we doing? Why are bots? Your bot should not be in the meeting if you can't make it. I'm sorry. You're going to get kicked out. You have to show up or give us a heads up that you can't make it and somebody else can share notes from their bot, but your bot should not be there if you can't be there. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right. How about, let's say you have an engineer that's running a local model on their own laptop. What does that fall in?
In my opinion, that's still shadow AI, even if that laptop is running this model locally, because you don't know if the back end of that model is making a call out to the internet. So I'd still consider that shadow AI, in my opinion.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about where do we go from here? There's another topic that we need to bring up so that people can get a better handle on this, so that they can have a plan and so that they can make sure that their IP is not being leaked through these different shadow AI practices. And we're talking about a centralized AI gateway. So explain that to me and how that works.
Yeah, centralized AI can be you as an organization choosing a platform, Copilot, Claude, Gemini, and choosing to procure licenses through that lab, through that AI tool, and then assigning them to each of the company emails of the people that need access to that tool. So that's one way of doing it, where you create a centralized licensing capability, and it allows you to access and govern AI tool usage from one place. Another way is a product that we've released now called Spedge OS, which is essentially a centralized AI tool intelligence layer that keeps all of your conversations, dialogue, and IP in one place, governed and traced and audited, so that you don't run the risk of shadow AI siphoning and capturing information from the organization, and you may not be aware of it. What's really interesting and what we're doing with SpedOS that doesn't exist in other AI tools like Claude, Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT is this concept of observability and traceability. So lots of AI tools do really good things, but how do you know what the output they're producing and its factual capability? And then what type of data is it accessing inside of your organization? I think the IT teams that are hearing or watching this are going to appreciate it. And I'd love to hear comments from all of you in our shorts or in our YouTube video. How does that make you feel when you have better visibility, better control of how AI usage is actually happening so you can govern it better? You can put better policies. You can do DLPs, which is data loss prevention policies, so that if you have a company finance folder, Ken, we don't want to upload any of that documentation or that information into AI tools, regardless of which one
Right.
it is, because there's just a risk from an IP or sensitivity standpoint. So you have public tools that you can buy company, teams, enterprise licenses and deploy them. They still have a little bit of a gap as of this recording from a auditability and traceability standpoint. And what we really tried to do in SpedOS was create more of a compliance driven AI tool, which gives you the
Hmm.
ability to crowdsource everything in one place. So we're really excited about it and can't wait to hear people's reaction once they start using that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to find out more about that product, you can go to spedge.ai and you can schedule a call with us. We'd love to talk with you. You can also just, email Sagar. We'll have his email address in the caption down below. And you can talk to him further about that particular thing. But what if somebody is wanting to do like an audit, a shadow AI audit? What goes into that? And can we provide something like that?
We can, and there's two ways to do it, the easy way and the harder way. The
Okay.
easy way, if you're an organization, you can use some of your corporate IT systems to capture whether people are accessing certain AI tools. So if you're a Microsoft 365 organization and you have the right policies in place, you can typically pull like what type of website traffic, not what's in the website, but what websites are people visiting, what types of other AI tools are people downloading onto their local computers, especially if they have admin access. You could run an audit, a systems report, and Ken, that will tell you, hey, people seem to be logging into Gemini a lot. Maybe that's a tool that they're using. So that's, again, very
Yeah.
rudimentary, basic example. I know there's a lot of other configurations and security things that have to happen to be able to do that. Lots of companies don't even have that capability. So I say
Yeah.
it's easier because it's a natural extension of an already existing IT system.
Sure.
A little bit of a harder way, because you have to create a safe space and allow people to be vulnerable, is surveying your team anonymously. You can send this out through any survey tool that doesn't collect name or email, and you can just ask some qualitative questions. Are you using AI or not? If you are, what's your favorite AI tool of choice? What are you using it for? We have found tremendous success in surveying the staff of the companies that we support. And what it does is two things. One, creates intelligence. So we know
Yeah.
what tools or platforms or models to use first. And then
Sure.
secondly, it develops what we call the exposure. How severe is the shadow AI? If you're a 100-person company, are there 17 different AI tools being used? It's a much different conversation than one or two. So
Yeah.
there's an easy way, which is technologically done, which you have to have certain configurations in order to be able to do that. And then there's a little bit of a more difficult, because you don't know how people are going to answer, if they're going to tell the truth, is the qualitative anonymous surveys. But you got to create this culture of shared responsibility, Ken. And I talk a lot about that. I've written a whole book on it, AI Culture Blueprint, on getting people to be vulnerable and admit that they're using AI and understand that there's no repercussion. It's not a administrative or HR issue. It's more of just an understanding so that the
Yeah. That's what I was going
organization
to
can use
say.
it.
Is if a CEO wants to do this and they want to find out just from a knowledge standpoint, it's not like we're taking somebody to the woodshed for doing this, but we want to find out what are they using it for and can we make it more safe, but yet not squelching the creativity that people might have with using AI tools. Where's the balance there? How can they do that?
It's well said, not squelching the creativity, because all of you that are listening and watching this have one or two staff members that are already pretty savvy with AI they've refactored or re-engineered a process, and
Right.
it's able to deliver some excellent results for them. Those are the people that we want to elevate and celebrate. So the way you do that, Ken, is you create a safe space for people to not only, I don't want to say admit, but admit using AI. And then how can you elevate the experimenters, the risk takers, and not penalize them in public to say, listen, you're using this AI tool. You shouldn't be doing it, but we as leadership never give you direction. So shame on you for using it and admitting it. No, that's not the
Right.
perspective we want to create, because then you're going to get no response. You're going to get a lack of trust, and it's going to create this hesitation and friction for people to share. So, in order to not squelch creativity and just get the excitement, celebrate the experimentation. Create
Yeah.
gamify it. Maybe say, hey, on a weekly basis, we want to know how many AI actions we've tried. Who's our AI user of the week or our AI user of the month? So
Go ahead, pick up.
you got to create a safe space so that people can be vulnerable. They can raise their hands. They're not punished for experimenting. You as leaders can't use your lack of knowledge and your lack of understanding for AI tools as a reason why others inside of your organization, the more savvy people, can't share and give the creative mindset and how to do this. And I've seen this so many times, Ken. All you leaders that don't understand this stuff, get the hell out of the way. Stop
Yeah.
blocking AI initiatives, stop blocking budgets, stop preventing people from getting training. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean someone else doesn't in the organization. And like I said before, the door is right there, right? Leave the ego at the door and give other people a chance to have the answers. Be the leader that leads with vulnerability. Set up time or a lunch that you pay for that allows people to show up for an hour to share AI usage, right? Give them the ability to show up and raise their hand without judgment and fear that
Yeah.
there's going to be some type of repercussion. I can't tell you how frustrated it makes me when I walk into organizations and I have sidebars with employees of those organizations that whisper to me to say, listen, I'm secretly using ChatGPT and this is the amazing stuff that I've been doing. Or, hey, I use Claude Code and I'm doing this amazing stuff and it saved us so much time. The customer's so much happier, but I'm deathly afraid of bringing it up to my manager because they're anti-AI or they just don't
Yeah.
understand it. Can you imagine? There's so many companies that are doing that either lose the innovation or the competitive edge, or worse, they lose those employees and they will leave if you don't give them a chance to share and be excited about some of the AI stuff. Whether you yourself don't believe in the technology or not,
Yeah.
forcing that perspective on other people in your organization is absolutely wrong. And we need to start changing that mindset if we're going to have a chance at increasing the innovation that we're doing inside of our organizations. So that's a
Yeah.
little bit of a rant for all you leaders and C-suite folks. Get out of the way, give people a chance to use AI tools, put some budgets there, stop being sticklers with finance, get your legal and compliance folks involved so that they have visibility, and let people fly, let people experiment, try things, admit when you're wrong, and just have a dialogue. Magic is going to happen. I can guarantee you that every time you do this.
Yeah. And I would say also is that if you even think you are having an AI shadowing problem in your organization, whether you do it or not, and you need to find out about it and you need to bring it under some control, but without, like I said, squelching the creativity of your employees that want to use it because they want to be more efficient and they want to make sure that they're doing the best job that they can, and they have the tools. So why not give them the tools? It's like taking a mechanic and not letting them have a diagnostic tool to find out what's wrong with the car because you don't believe in it. It's kind of the same thing. You got to give the tools that are available to help them do their job better. And we at Spedge would love to help you with that. We're not the only source out there, but we have experience in it and we'd love to help you. Just go to spedge.ai to find out more and contact us. We'd love to have a conversation. Also, make sure that you tell others about this podcast so that they can find out all about these different things. You can go to a Prompt First, Ask Later. That's PFAL pod.com, and you can keep up with all of our podcasts. You can find us on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd love to have you join us, make comments down below, ask questions, and we're kicking around ideas of having some webinars as well, where you can join in live and ask questions. And so we'll give you more details on that. Sagar, always great to talk with you, man. Appreciate you joining us again for this episode. And I hope it's helped somebody to understand more about some of the issues that we're facing with AI, but also solutions and not running away from using AI. So appreciate you being here, man. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Ken. See you next week. Take care.